So, all right, Rebecca, back to you on a story about maybe some baby names tied to Mormonism.
Baby names, yes, and it's true. This all, of course, is Tom's. It's his life and everything. But I just remember my reaction initially was like, oh, so. All right, yes, I've been trying to do this story for a while, but I keep bumping it because so much other news comes out. But this was an article actually from back in May where they talk about Oakley. Parents branch out to oak-based baby names, especially in the red states, and this has everything to do with Utah, apparently, which is interesting. It says, although Olivia and Liam are the two most popular names for newborns right now, according to the Liam. Isn't that interesting? Liam Nelson, I think. Yeah, something. Another name is rising in popularity, and that is Oakley, or Oakley, all the different ways that you can spell it, and especially in the red states. The name is usually, but not always, given to girls. Clearly, there's a pattern, says Dallin D. Oakes, an English linguistics professor at Brigham Young University in Provo. Really? Dallin D. Oakes. I'm sorry. That just made me laugh. But he's a BYU professor, and he's been tracking these patterns. He has reviewed the data for red and blue states as ranked politically by the International Business Times. And he says that this name is becoming really popular among LDS people, too. So he says that every one of the top 10 red states either had an Oaklyn or an Oakley or both, or something in the top 100 names, he said. On the other hand, and in comparison, they were only represented in 2 of the blue states that he sampled. So very interesting. None of this is surprising to Cleveland Evans. All these professors have very interesting names. A professor and former president of the American Name Society. He clocked the Oakley trend a few years ago. That one is one of those things that is coming out of Utah, he said. Utah is sort of an early warning system for things that are going to become popular. This has to do with Latter-day Saint culture or Mormon culture, and they are people who have unusual names. I think we can all attest to that.
Look at all the people in the red states called Mormon now.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I mean, the name Mormon, you know what I mean.
The actual name Mormon. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. So examples include Jaden and Caden. I'm guessing everyone in the chat is going, oh, yeah, my niece named her child that, or my sister.
I haven't heard of these.
Oakley, Oaklyn, Oakley, he says. And as to why so many popular ones have emerged from LDS culture, he says, I could speculate maybe we have more kids in other states, or maybe more of us are influencers that put our baby names out there, right? They're in social media, that like the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. All those women have kids that have names that are very unique, and now everybody knows those names. So it says the population of the state of Utah is estimated at between 62 and 68% LDS. And there's a blogger, Hildy Westenhaver, and she points out something unusual about the names that Mormons choose to give their children. Maybe it's because we're kind of different to begin with, that Mormons love oddball baby names. Westenhaver wrote in her blog, I have met children named Wrangler, Smokey, Mercedes, Corporate, that's a girl's name, Mavericks, Genedy, Silver, I don't know how you'd even say that, Ziason, Versailles, Rafter, and I kid you not, R2. Well, that tracks Mormons and Star Wars, right? So, but once I started thinking about it, I realized I also know people that have very unusual baby names. She said that some names may sound normal when spoken, but just to be different, the Mormons get creative with the spelling. I think we've seen this before. Paisley spelled Payzlee, Jared spelled with a D.
That's just ridiculous. You're sentencing your kid to having to spell out his freaking name every time he meets somebody for the rest of his life.
Yep,
that's her life.
Miracle, Myracal. And I have to admit, I'm guilty of that. My children, I sort of switched up vowels when it was typically an O. I would make it an E. I did that.
Example, please. Example.
Well, no, I'm not going to reveal the names of my children, but I'm just saying when the vowel is usually this, I would change it, from an A to an E or an O to an E, something like that.
What possessed you to do something like that?
I was trying to be really cool and fit in with the people in my ward. And I think that's another thing. You're connected to all these women who are all having children, and they're all talking about the baby names, and everything's unique. And you have to do something really unique so your child will stand out in nursery where there's, back in the day, 200 kids under 18 months. So it says, the blogger observed that boys' names tend to lean toward having 2 syllables with an ER, an EN, or a ton. And my children are the 2 syllables exactly like that. The ending, which preserves the uniqueness, Truxton, Deccan, Nyler, Kyson, Taten, Zyker, Truson.
Wait, this is not on the slide, right?
Is it not on the slide? Oh, maybe it's not. Sorry, I'm reading the other. Maybe I'm on the other slide. Nope. It's on this slide here. There we go.
Zyker.
Yep, Zyker. Isn't that interesting? Maybe we're giving some of our viewers and listeners some ideas. I don't know. Maybe
Hopefully
we are.
ideas about what to avoid.
Yeah, maybe girls' names almost always contain the letter what? I bet you can guess without even reading that. The letter Y. All Mormon girls have the Y in it, right? The Casey, the Oakland, the Tinsley, the Skyland, all of it, all the time. So then the blogger gets into the why of the matter, and she says, why on earth would somebody name a baby Serendipity? She wrote,
indeed?
Why indeed? Tradition is the obvious answer. These oddly named babies are the grandchildren and great-grandchildren of the Delins, Cloydine, Laverle, right?
I don't
all
see
have
this
these
as
names.
any excuse to name your child Serendipity, especially with that strange spelling.
See, and you guys were converts. So you may not have these names in your family, but I have all three of those names in my family. So Mormons definitely like to
you have
combine
Serendipity
names.
in your family?
No. The old names, Delin, Laverle, Cloydine, those kinds of names where you kind of combine family names or a first name and a last name. Mormons like to put la in front of everything or da in front of everything. It's a really interesting phenomenon. She says, as I said before, we Mormons are used to being a little bit different, and it's been that way for a long time. So I went on social media to try to find out what are some of the weird Mormon names that just regular people have heard.
I know the Mormon apologists like Psych Word Radio, they like to put duh in front of everything.
Well, there is that. So here are some ones that came across on social media. I thought these were great. And these are, again, from just people on Reddit chiming into what they've heard. Twin boys born in 2010-11 named Mitt and Romney. Okay, that's a good one. Bill's shaking his head. I know of a family that named their daughter Temple Marriage. I shit you not. First name was Temple, middle name was Marriage. There you go. I know a girl named Kumora. I went to school with a Coriantimer, but thankfully his parents split it into Corey Antimer.
Nobody can find the girl named Kimora anymore. They think she's in multiple locations, but nobody knows exactly where she's at.
Where is she? We don't know.
The FBI.
And I do see posts from people that say, I've stepped away from the LDS church and my name is Coriantimer, right? Some people actually change their name kind of as an act of, breaking free. This person says, I know a family that has a Leahona, Hosanna, Kimora, Ammon, and Caleb. So that's a good one. Zionica. What do you think of that? I think I'm pronouncing that right. Zionica. Interesting.
It's a musical instrument.
Yeah, I feel like it could be. This person says, I'm a teacher in Utah. Previous male student names included Taft, Ammon, Ezra, Benson, Malachi, Ephraim, Levi, Asher, Elijah, Enoch, Brigham, Noah, Hiram, and the honorable mention to Moroni as a middle name. And you see a lot of kids named after prophets, right? Kimball, Benson, things like that all the time. This person says, I had a friend named Monhanrai. I was the only kid at his birthday party one year.
The only kid at his birthday party? Poor Monhanrai.
That's what I'm saying. It's a double-edged sword to give a unique name like that, right?
He was probably a terrible kid. He was lucky to have one boy at his party.
I get to see the invitation. Mahanrai is inviting you to his dinosaur party. Yeah, there you go. I know a Porter Rockwell Jones. Okay, that's a good one. A friend of mine named their son Kolob.
That's like the happy birthday thing that you send out on my birthday and everybody else's birthday. It goes, Mahanrai.
That's right. Yeah, I don't think I could find one that said that. Yeah, it's not going to work. A friend of mine had named their son Kolob. I wish I was joking, but I knew a kid named Iron Rod. I met him at a youth activity. I'm sorry.
He knew a kid. He says, I wish I was joking, but I did know a kid named Iron Rod.
Yeah, that's what he said. If you want to believe this person, he said he knew a kid that he met at a youth activity named Iron Rod. Here's one, Abinadi Burns, actual first and last name.
Abinadi Burns.
I mean, Mormons are creative.
I don't believe that. I mean, come on. You're supposed to give your kid a name, not a joke.
Do you know, the thing
It's
is,
a funny joke, but I
do
hope that's not a
believe
real name.
I bet if you ask the people in the chat, they know names that are just as strange as these. I bet that they do. I knew a girl named Moroniah, I think. Moroniah. not exactly how you would say it. And finally, my favorite, last but not least, I knew a guy named Thummim.
No.
This is what these people say. So the bottom line is very strange names in Utah, but it's up to the parent. You can do what you want to do, but it does cause problems when you step away from, the LDS tradition and your name means something there. And when your own name can be triggering, that can be a problem. So
what your name is to me. I got a trivia question for you, Rebecca.
Uh-oh, what is it?
Okay, so what Broadway Hollywood musical does the song come from that is They Call the Wind Moroni?
Oh, that is, oh my gosh, why can't I think of it now? It's a terrible movie.
Sorry, thank you
No, it's a horrible movie.
Gift.
It's Paint Your Wagon. No, is it? Is it Paint Your Wagon?
Is that your guess?
No, it's not my guess because I know that's not right. But it had I'm
pretty sure it's Paint Your Wagon.
Is it Paint Your Wagon? Okay, then I was right. I was close. I get flustered, when I
think
put on the spot.
Fresnell sang it.
Yeah.
That one isn't hard to pronounce, Rebecca. You just say moron and then Aya on the end. Moron Aya.
I know. I feel like you could pronounce it that way. So anyway, but again, you guys don't have that background. You were converts, so you don't have family names that are like that.
The really bad thing about that Moroni is that the Aya part is a theophoric suffix, which means Jehovah. So what's saying is Jehovah is a moron. Is actually the translation of that name. It's really quite iconoclastic.
Well, he certainly doesn't see around corners.
In the pure Adamic language, it's a cool name, right? It's just our fault that we don't speak that.
I did give a Mormon name to one of my kids, but I put it as a middle name because a part of me thought, if that kid doesn't stay in the church or our family doesn't stay in the church, I just don't want it to haunt him the rest of his life. So he can just write the initial and put a dot after it and call it a day.